the Shozy form 1.1. It's a hybrid, a single balanced armature and single dynamic driver. The dynamic driver is beryllium coated. Metallic coatings are used to increase the performance of the dynamic driver so that it can not be penalized by elevated bass, or pretty much bass generally. If bass is elevated on a typical PET Mylar driver, which is plastic, basically the PET bottle at 7-Eleven, like you buy Coca-Cola plastic bottle, it's the same material but thinner that they use for these little dynamic drivers. Now they're using graphene, CNT, and a lot of other stuff, but for many years they used basically plastic. And the problem with plastic was when you elevated it, you would get a penalty of performance where the rest of the frequency, the mids and the treble, would suffer because of the speed would be decreased. The performance would be basically handicapped. And you would get what a lot of people would describe as a veil, because what their ear and memory were used to hearing would not be what they would be hearing. They would be they describe it like putting a blanket over a speaker. That's what a veil is. And it was usually caused by poor performance of a driver, and that was usually begun. The fail usually started in the bass region, so they started using metallic coatings. I like beryllium because on the Urban Fun, I can slam the hell out of those and get good mids. It's crazy. So I became a believer in beryllium, and this is a nice sounding set. Let me go through my library, what I listened to come to this conclusion. First one is Ambitionz as a Ridah by Tupac Shakur. This is a double CD that was mastered masterfully by DJ Quick, Johnny J, Daz Dillinger was in there. Tupac did some producing on it as well. Outside of Good Kids Mad City by Kendrick Lamar and Team, this is probably one of the best that I've ever heard. There's some other ones out there that are great, but this is really good. This track has got a dominant bass, but it's got a lot of micro details in it, and all of those little musical cues that my OCD is looking for is available on this set. So it's performing quite well, and the beryllium seems to be doing its job because the bass has got a good thump, but it's not making anything else seem lost. Girls Got Rhythm by AC/DC. Guitar, bassist, drum, awesome vocalist. Another track that sounds good on this. Vocals don't sound too forward. They don't sound back. They sound nice. The cymbal strikes sound good and clear. They should, because of that elevation at 9K, and that they in fact do. No More, No More by Aerosmith is a track that I'm listening for Steven Tyler's voice. Does he sound back? I'm listening for the cymbal strike. Does it sound too far away? And the piano in particular, which is a Jerry Lee Lewis type of key banging. And if the mid frequencies are too recessed, I can literally hear the middle of the piano gone. In its best form, it's not that clear. It sounds like it's mixed up one layer back. It's Phil Spector wall of sound, where they would pull multiple layers of stuff one over the other. It sounds like the piano was intentionally placed somewhere behind the rest of the band. It's not easy to catch. If it's a good performance by the driver or drivers, you'll get it. If it's not, you might not notice that it's not there. I do, because I have OCD. It sounds good, and it's available on this set. So everything checks off. Steven Tyler sounds good. The cymbal strike sounds good. It's a little louder than normal, but I'm cool with that because the rest of the playback sounds good. Sibilant check, Melissa, Allman Brothers, Melissa, double S's. That'll pull it out for sure. Not catching it on this. Not on this track. I'm not that susceptible to that anyway. Some other sets that people have said they get that. I don't. So I sometimes do. This set, I'm not getting it. I'm pleased by the overall sound of this. No. Dear Prudence. Dear Prudence is a Beatles track, and its main moment is a bass string pull at the beginning, along with some crazy weird. The beginning of Dear Prudence by the Beatles, if you don't know it, you should listen, because it's a classic 30 seconds of rock and roll history. It's amazing. That bass string pull in its best form sounds like you can hear the finger pulling on the string, the release, the resonating, and the stop of it, and it repeats 3 or 4 times just off the back of my head. And it's an epic rock and roll moment. And if you got OCD and you want to focus on a bass string pull, one of the best would be probably Dear Prudence by the Beatles. And you'll listen to it over and over, go back to the beginning, do it again, go back, do it again, go back, do it again, listen to another set. That's my life. Sounds brilliant on this set. It's a strong point. The beryllium coming in. Can't Find My Way Home. This is Steve Winwood, the bassist who I'll never remember, Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker. This is something, again, where sometimes stuff can sound a little bit back. Steve Winwood, everything sounds fine. That very low treble is not showing itself to this listener. I've done reviews on Shozy stuff before and had mixed emotions. This would be my favorite Shozy to this point. I think they did well with this. I like the playback. I'm using phone tips, just so you know. Track sounds excellent. This is Dead Presidents from the CD Let's Get Free, and the track is called Hip Hop. That's actually the name of this, and it's got a ridiculous grinding bass, low frequency sound that will kill some stuff, particularly over ears that are made out of the old style PETs. This is playing it fine. This is kind of showing the benefits of the beryllium driver. And if you've never heard this song, you should. Dead Presidents, man. This is an error. But Ghetto Boy, so is that really an error? Not to me. This is Living Thing by E.L.O, and this is something that would show problems with the treble, because there's so much information going on in this track. I'm not really getting it. I'm actually looking for the offensive thing, and I'm not finding it. The question of this set becomes, relative to what's going on out there with some of these stellar budget stuff, is it worth the money? That's something that I never really get into, and that's your business. I don't know what job you have, how much money you have, how much money you've spent, if you're about to get divorced because you're addicted to the hobby. I can't imagine what your position is, and the people that are watching me from beautiful, expensive living rooms with giant screens playing YouTube on their giant television, and they've got lots of money. There's other people that don't have a lot of money, so I'm not talking to a particular group. I'm talking to the entire world that's watching. You can determine value yourself. Some of the budget stuff coming out right now is ridiculously impressive for its price. This, for its price, which I think is supposed to be like $70, early people that get in on it, I think it sounds really good. If you're a fan of beryllium, this is the first time I've heard it done correctly, or what I imagined it would sound in an IM. Whereas the FIO didn't get it right. I thought it would at first. It sounded nice, but when I compared it to other stuff, the clarity wasn't there. Just didn't work. That beryllium driver plus S turbo, or whatever that chamber thing is, it was too much. I couldn't get with that. This is what I imagined a beryllium would sound like when done well, and they did it well. It's a good set. I do wreck it. Comparisons with other would be with hybrids, and I would do something like a guide ray, but I'm not going to be doing that quick, because my next video is probably going to be a comparison between the FD-01 by JVC and another thing that was tuned by maybe the same person, which is the E.L.O, which is just a revelation. And it's going to require its own video besides comparison with the JVC. So that'll be coming. That's the JVC, the 3 filters, not the drop version, the original, but the one that's closest to the Harman is actually the one that is the regular filter that is included with the drop and also with the original. It's the one that's most like the Harman tune. So there's that. And then there's this one. It sounds nice. If you want to hear what a good beryllium tuning sounds like, this would be set for you. And again, value. I don't know you, man. Would I pay for it? Now I would. When I first listened to it at the beginning, no. But I started to get used to it. So some things you love, and then you fall away from it, and the other things you think, meh, and you listen to it more, and you your brain burns in. It goes both ways. People have always said, if burn-in is real, why does that necessarily mean a good thing? Think about that for a second. If burn-in is a true event, why does that necessarily mean it's a good thing? Why wouldn't that mean it might not sound better? It's burning in and it's automatically a better thing? It doesn't make any sense. That would depend on the person, wouldn't it? So when people say you got to burn in for 100 hours, what's the problem with it before the 100 hours, and what's the proof of it being better after 100 hours? Who the hell decided that? So sometimes you listen to stuff and you like it, and then slowly you start to find fault in it. Is that brain burn? It seems like the opposite. And you start to think, I'll let you go. No. And then there's other times where you think, I don't like you so much, and you start to, you're not bad. I like you. You're actually pretty good. You're really good, actually. And you start to change in the other direction. So, I don't know. I guess brain burns in and brain burns out. I guess I'm a burnout. Self-discovery moment. Holy crap. I got called that a lot when I was a kid. You're a burnout. You just don't like weed, man. And I'm out. To be precise, ripping mics is the light of my life. You frontin' like you trifle, never pull the heist.